Hello folks, welcome to another episode here at Light Source Engraving. I'm your host Patrick, as usual, and if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. In my hands, I have today's project, except this project is going to be done today with a little more flair. So I'm going to show you how to do that. What we're going to do is take this $1 glass, I guess technically it's a candle holder or vase, but this $1 piece of glass, and turn it into something that we could sell for $30, $40, maybe even $50. Put a nice candle in there, could be worth $50 with the customization that we're going to do. What I'm going to show you how to do is put a monogram inside of this full wrap that's on this piece of glass. And I'm going to be using the Mansfield Customs Rotary. If you haven't heard of that rotary, I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out. But it is a rotary that's popular for CO2s. It's a roller rotary, so we'll be using a roller rotary today. And what I did is a small modification to make this Mansfield Customs rotary work with your Galvo style laser bed. So you could use it with CO2 Galvo, fiber, or UV, any of the Galvos. And it is great for turning glass. It has a little hold down wheel that keeps the glass from walking around, keeps it nice and tight against the rollers, and it's fairly simple and does a great job. So I'm going to show you that, but first let's just jump into lightburn. I'm going to show you how to inset the monogram inside of the full wrap. So here we go. So here I already have the dimensions of the glass laid out in this tool path. So this is the rough dimensions of the engravable area of the glass. Now what we need to do is center these because they weren't centered. I just realized that I am missing my core file apparently because my field size isn't quite right. So let's check in our device settings. Yeah, core file is not there, so I do need to load it on this computer. UV150. Hit OK. And now we're back in business. Okay, now it looks the same as it does on my other computer, which is what we wanted. So what I need to do is shrink this just a couple millimeters. And there we go. And I'm going to stick the monogram right in the middle. So here's the monogram I'm working with, just the M for more, which is my last name. I'm going to pop that right in the middle. And first thing I want to do is make a copy of it. Control C, then Control V, and paste that off to the side because we're going to need it. So the monogram is going to stay right there. That's going to be engraved, but we need to cut this area out first. So let's do an offset. I just want an offset of 1 millimeter, maybe 1.5. I'm going to delete the original objects because I don't need them. Then I'm going to take this and ungroup it. I don't need the objects in the center. So let's just grab the outside of it, and then let's move this right over top and center it over that graphic. All right, we are centered. Now what I want to do is grab that line, which is still already selected, that I just moved in place, and put it on a tool path. Now we have our offset on the toolpath. Now we can grab the full wrap graphic, then hold shift and click on the toolpath, and then we can actually just use our Boolean tools and cut that right out. So once it's cut out, we have some separation between the flowers and the monogram now, and That looks good. So let me turn the monogram black. Oops. Let me turn the monogram black. And now we have our flowers, our flowery monogram in the middle, and we have a design that we are now ready to burn. We can get rid of this extra stuff, and it's ready to be sent to the laser at this point. All right, we're over at the laser. We're at the UV. You see the Mansfield Customs Rotary. Here's the cord. It just plugs directly into the back of the UV using the standard 4-pin connector. And let me show you some of the features of this rotary. We have 2 drive wheels that turn the object that's sitting on top of the rotary. We have a little wheel that holds the piece in place. This can also be removed. If I'm not going to use it, I will remove it, spin it around backwards, and then put screws back in so I don't lose it. This piece here slides back and forth to adjust the length. This slides up and down to adjust the height, and these wheels also slide out and back so you can adjust the width between the wheels. So it has plenty of adjustments to fit most objects, and it has direct drive from the motor. There's a gear directly on the motor shaft, and then it drives these 2 wheels with one single belt. And what I've done is I've placed a black dot about halfway between our engrave area. I wasn't going to worry about 0.5 millimeters, so it's halfway. And then what I did is I'm just watching the red dot hit that black dot, and then it's passing through. And what I want to do is make sure that that red dot is in the center of this piece of 2020. So it is in the center, and it is centered up with a black dot at that point right there. So to make this jiggable, basically I just went through my different jig pieces and found one that the width matches up perfectly with being centered. So I'll have a nice flat surface to rest this against. So I can move this out of the way and then attach this piece, and this will definitely make sure that we are perpendicular or parallel to the galvo head, however you want to look at it. Now we just need to adjust that back to center with the red dot being directly in the center. And here we are definitely centered with that black dot. So we know that our workpiece is now centered underneath the galvo head, and we are parallel, so we should be ready to run this job. But this running glass under the UV does create a lot of dust, so just be mindful, it will end up all over everything. Now I do have rotary mode enabled. The only dimension we need are the dimensions of the roller. And when you get the Mansfield, they'll tell you the drive wheels are 42 millimeters, so that is the dimension of your rotor. They recommend 4,100 steps per revolution, but we already have a stepper driver inside our machine, so whatever our machine is set to is what we need to set the Mansfield Rotary, or what we need to set lightburn to. It needs to match the machine, not what's on this piece. Now I am ready to frame the graphic. So it's now framing. It's hard to see on the glass, but if I put my fingers here, you can see the red light on my fingers. So it's hitting about here and about here, which is exactly where we want it. So we are centered up and ready to go. For this UV laser, I'm going to be running my typical glass setting at a speed of 300, frequency of 40, Q pulse of 1. This is going to be one pass, bidirectional, 0 degrees, and set to fill all shapes at once. You do not want to fill shapes individually on a roller style rotary. Basically, you can have one shot at getting it right. If you need to go over it a second time, there can be issues where if the cup happens to walk a little bit, shift out of center, shift out of line, lots of issues. So you basically have one shot to get it right. You can run a second pass if something isn't right and see if you can fix it, but just be mindful that that's where a lot of errors happen, is using a roller rotary and running a second turn. Now, when you hit start in lightburn, when in rotary mode, I'm at a different PC, so I'm just going to show you the PC screen. So when you hit start in rotary mode, it pops up the rotary dialog. I'm going to run this with a 4mm split size and a 0.1mm overlap. And run shapes in order, and I have run whole shapes turned off. I do not want that with the roller style rotary. In my experience, if you've done it and it works, then that's great, but in my experience, I do not like having run whole shapes, and I do not like having run shapes individually turned on. So now that this is ready, I can hit start, and then we can watch this engrave and have a joyous celebration when it finishes and looks perfect. So here we go. UV glasses need to be on at all times. All right, folks, here we have our $50 glass fresh off the laser. This will make a great candle holder. We put a nice candle in here and people will love it. You gave this thing great value by engraving the monogram on it, customizing it for your customer, and as Rich, the LA hobby guy, says, customization is what brings value to your item. So the monogram is a perfect touch for adding customization to this glass. So candle holder, base, whatever you could do with it, fill it with sand. Possibilities are endless, but that's it. It's done. I hope you learned something today. That was my goal, at least something with lightburn. And most importantly, I hope everybody has a great day. And I thank you for tuning in. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/lightsourceengraving. Thank you to all my patrons for bringing this content and allowing me to purchase test material to bring you videos like these. I hope to do many more in the future, but that's enough of my rambling. Again, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.